Okay. You have a second derivative, a first derivative, and a function itself. And you linearly combine them. And you're getting e to the power of 2t of some sort. What do you think your y should look like? I mean, you can't really change the exponent by taking derivatives.
The e to the
Something of some sort of a e to the power of 2t. So your guess, a good guess, would be y of t is some coefficient e to the power of 2t. Where this a is a coefficient. So this method is called the undetermined coefficient because you're coming up with a guess that looks like that. Hey, if that didn't work, what do? Then the second guess would be what do you think it would be? It's still e to the power of 2t, 100%. But you could stick a t next to it. If the first one didn't work. If that didn't work, stick a t squared next to it then. You keep adding these t next to it so eventually it will work. Most of them work. Like if I give you a problem, either 1 or 2t, you'll get it done. So these are our guesses. So let y of t to be a e to the power of 2t. Does anyone understand why we came up with this guess? Because you're taking its derivative, second derivative, combining it, you still get e to the power of 2t. And so that totally makes sense. So then its derivative is what?
2a is a t.
And then its second derivative? Put it back into the equation. What was it? Double prime. So 4a e to t minus 3 times 2a e to t minus 4 times a t to t. That's got to be equal 3 e to t. So that's 4a minus 6a minus 4a. So that's negative 6a e to t is equal 3 e to t. Match coefficients, right? So then negative 6a has to be equal 3. So then a has to be equal negative half. That means your general solution, the specific solution, or we call them particular solution sometimes, is negative half e to the power of 2t. So that's called a particular solution. Okay, so again, we had this differential equation that is non-homogeneous, which means its right-hand side is non-zero. You know how to solve the homogeneous part. We'll do that, very soon. But for the non-homogeneous solution, for the particular solution, you're guessing that your function looks like some sort of a e to the power of 2t, where this a is the coefficient and it's unknown. So we have to find this coefficient. And if you take its derivative, second derivative, plug it back in, we found that this particular solution is here and it works. Any question?
So when the first guess, if it doesn't work, would it look like something like all the left side like cancels each other out? So then you try the t.
Yeah, sometimes your guess is actually your homogeneous solution, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
That's where you gotta add a t. So let me show you this table. It's in the book, and I want to talk about it for a second. Okay. I will walk you through this, so it looks a little complex, but it's not. If your right hand side is so what does Pn of t means, first of all? It's defined it right above. So a lot of times when you read a math book or publication, the definitions are kind of done as they go, and they don't really define it again. So you kind of like, what the hell is P of n? But it's like right above it. So let's look at this for a second. So first of all, we're solving a particular solution of a second order linear equation. Okay, so we're just looking at gi of t. So what this table is telling you is that for different g of t, these are our guesses. So for different g of t, these are our guesses. Now, a g of t could be a polynomial of degree n. This is a polynomial of degree n. Some coefficient t to the power of n all the way to constant, right? If you have a polynomial of degree n, your guess should be a polynomial of degree n. What is this t to the power of s? Look at it. S is the smallest non-negative integer, 0, 1, or 2. That's that t that I said to you, stick it in if it didn't work. So if it didn't work for t, so the initial guess would be without t. It would just be that polynomial of degree n with some big ass coefficients here that you just don't know what they are, but you use capital letters, so that, it's distinguished from the other one. So if your g of t, your right hand side, was a polynomial of degree n, your guess should be also a polynomial of degree n with some different coefficients, a0 to an with capital letter. If that failed, stick a t next to it, so t equal s equal 1, stick a t next to it. If that failed again, stick another t to it and see what happened. If it keeps failing, I would stop working on it. But if your right hand side, if your g of t, which is the non-homogeneous part of your equation, is a polynomial of degree n, then your guess is a polynomial of degree n. Okay, that's the first one. If your right hand side g of t is some polynomial times the exponential, we just did the exponential, the polynomial was just like a constant term, right? Our guess would be the same polynomial p of n but in the same degree, times e to the power of t. We just did that. We just said big A times e to the power of 2t is our guess, because our polynomial was just 1. But if you had some other polynomials of degree n, you kind of do the same thing. So your guess would be the polynomial of degree n times e to the power of a with these big letter coefficients. If that failed, stick a t to it. Go forward. If you have a polynomial and an exponential and a sine or cosine. So here's what I want to talk about. If you have a sine, let's just say you just have a sine of x on the right side. That means your second derivative, first derivative, and the function itself combined, you got a sine. So your guess should be not just sine, it should be a sine plus b cosine, because the derivative of sine is cosine and derivative of cosine is sine with some negative. So that's what they have. They have the polynomial, they have the e, which we already talked about in the previous one, but they have both sine and cosine, you see? So let me show you this example. We're going to have you guys do it. So this is an example in the book. We're going to do it right now. The right-hand side, I'll write it, don't worry about it, just look for a second. You have a homogeneous, non-homogeneous with the sign on the right-hand side. You see that? The guess for that would be a sine plus b cosine, because you need both in order to do this, okay? So let's just work on one of these now. So we just did the e to the power of 2t. So I'll have you try this. So find the general, or find the particular, let's just do particular now, solution to y double prime minus 3y prime minus 4y equals 2 sine of t. And then your guess is y is equal a sine of t plus b cosine of t. Does this make sense why we picked this guess? Because you're combining function, derivative, second derivative, and you're getting a sine. So a good guess for the particular solution would be some sort of a linear combination of sine and cosine of the same function, sine of t and cosine of t. So work on this, take its derivative, take its second derivative, plug it back in. Your goal is to find a and b. That's all you're doing right now. gas prices are going even higher, going up higher.
It's crazy.
My prediction for this place in the next few years is gonna be that, everything is gonna be 5 times more expensive. We're repeating what happened in like 1970s and 80s, where an inflation happened without any mean to correct it. So when an inflation happens, you know, you usually like, you create competition, and then you can curb the interest rates, and you can kind of stop that. But
Didn't they just try increasing the
interest rate,
yeah, by like 21?
nothing is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Nothing, because it's just a spiral downward. I mean, this happened in 2000, let's say 10 and 11, or 9, whenever that was. There was ways to fix it. First of all, like, it was a recession, and they kind of caused the recession by bad mortgages and whatnot. They're trying to create recession, but they just can't. They just can't. So they're gonna increase the interest rate, nothing will happen. The gas prices are going up. Putin, you know, has got it hard on for Ukraine, that's just going forward. So what's gonna happen is everything is gonna go 5 times the price. And businesses are gonna go out, people are gonna lose jobs, and things are still more expensive. So this place will become what England is like right now, which prices of assets are so high that for an average person to own an asset, it's almost impossible. So we're going back to landlord and tenants era. So if you want to, you know, pull yourself up, I would say work double the time and buy yourself some assets very soon. Unless you will never be able to do that in the future, unless you hit the jackpot or you get a really, really high paying job. It's very unfortunate. The new administration's goal is not to help public, is to push the elite to be more rich and separate out, you know, the ones who have and don't have. Unfortunately, this administration present themselves as, oh, I like people, I wanna give them more money, raise the minimum wage. Bullshit, you raise the minimum wage to see what happens, you know, it's just like, so you have to think really carefully on the decision making that you do in your life in the next few years, especially like buying assets. Some people get into this Bitcoin, which I think is the biggest mistake, because it's like a completely you can't touch it. Even stock market, it's risky because you can't touch it. So buy things you can touch, because that they cannot take away from you. It's just, I always say I invest in dirt, because I can stand on it and no one can fucking move me.
Yep, it has to be taken by force, not just by numbers or.
Yeah,
Swift to the keyboard.
yeah, bring your flood and you can take it. So, if you have the option to work harder and buy assets, by that I mean tangible things, commodities, you know, things that you can grab and hold, do that soon. And your kids will appreciate that. So, in 1970s and 80s, it is the time that real estate went up 5 times. Within 10 years, it went up 5 times. You used to be able to buy a house at 20 grand before that, and it went to over 100 grand for the same house, and it never went down, because the cost of construction couldn't come down, because you have lumbers and material and cement and labor, has already gone up 2.5, 3 times since COVID here. So how could you build a house cheaper? You can't. Rent, you rent, you know how bad it is right now. It's terrible. So, and if your parents are selling their home, I would say don't. You can hold it for more than 5 years, just hold it. Who's done with this?
I got caught up.
Yeah.
It's, I think I got A and B, I think. B is 0 and A is -4. As far as I got. Oh, wait, I might want that up.
Yeah, and if you're a veteran, or if you're in the Army, or Navy, or any of that, use the VA loan. It's a God-given heaven of an opportunity. Use the VA loan.
Yep, historically the most wealth that the average person will build is in their home, so.
100%.
And, that's not gonna be a thing.
100%.
So, goodbye, middle class.
Real estate and tangible assets cause you to have wealth. Having a job and work and career causes you to have money. Money and wealth are two separate things. Money is for survival. It's like food. Wealth is for future. It just accumulates under your feet.
Yeah, I totally.
So if y is a sine of t and b cosine of t, then y prime is what? A cosine of t minus b sine of t. And y double prime is negative a sine of t minus b cosine of t. Now we gotta plug this 3 back into the original equation, so it's gonna be negative a sine of t minus b cosine of t minus 3 times a cosine of t minus b sine of t minus 4 a sine of t plus b cosine of t is equal to sine of t. We gotta clean this up. So the left hand side, let's just look at the signs of t. So you have negative a plus 3b negative 4a. So that's negative 5a plus 3b sine of t. And then we're gonna clean this up with the cosine. That's negative b, negative plus 3b, so that's 2b. And then minus 4b, so that's negative b. Let me write it up. Minus 3a, sorry. Minus 4b cosine of t. Let's just write this as negative 5b, so. Minus 3a. That's equal to sine of t. So here's the easy part. Your matching coefficient. So what is the coefficient of sine on the right side is 2. On the left side is negative 5a plus b. So negative 5a plus b is got to be equal to. The coefficient for cosine is negative 5b minus 3a is equal, what is the coefficient of cosine on the right side? It's 0.
Sorry, isn't it 3b for sine?
Thank you. Okay. So you have a system of equations. And solve this. So why don't we multiply the top by 3, so negative 15a plus 9b equals 6. Why don't we multiply the bottom by negative 5, so 15a plus 25b is equal to 0. (34b equals 6), so b is equal 3/17. Putting it back into the second one, negative 5 times as negative 15/17 is equal 3a. So a is equal negative 5/17. So then your particular solution is negative 5/17 sine of t plus 3/17 cosine of t. Cool. This is very large.
Can you go down a little bit, Professor? Right there.
Question.
Let me say I appreciate linear algebra because about like dividing by equations or whatever is proved to be very useful and less of a headache.
Yep.
In so many ways. I remember just in physics 195, I was like, how the hell are you dividing an equation by an equation?
Yep.
How does that even work?
Any question on this? It's a pretty straightforward concept, like it's nothing complicated about it. You do require good bookkeeping and good clean writing in order to do that. So, spacing out your work is always a good thing. Let me give you some work to do for next class. And so if it says find the general solution, you have to solve the characteristic plus the particular, both, and then you have to combine them. So that's important to remember.
So the particular is big Y, and then general
Correct.
is the homogeneous.
Correct. So find the general solution. Y double prime What if you have more than one? Like you have a sine 2t and a cos t, 2 cosine 2t. Just split them up. So solve for this one first, and then solve for that one. So just like two separate solutions and then combine them. Because when you think about it, one gives you that, and the other one gives you that, so you just add them together and that gives you the total. Next one is just to find the particular solution. Find the particular. And I'll have you do them on the board again next class. Some of these are getting a little bit complicated, so I think it's good to see the solutions on the board. So if you haven't gone up to put up the solution, I encourage you to do that next class.
Isn't the test next class?
Well, next week's vacation.
Oh, so the following Monday then.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
You came in here and you said, huh?
Finished grading.
Oh,
the test
okay,
on
okay.
Monday, not
Yeah, I
providing
was
a
like, oh my
test.
god, I didn't know there was a test.
Oh, no, I will bring your test. Is there spring break?
Yeah, there's spring break next week.
Really?
Yeah, we're off.
Oh, yeah. More skiing for me.
So,
Next week is off?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh. Oh, okay, that's good. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That means I can go down to TJ. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Party.
I have nothing to do. Alright, I'll go to TJ. Hang out over there. Oh, did you know you could get gas down in TJ at $3.50 per gallon?
Oh, really? Oof.
You know why?
Why?
Because they're not part of NATO.
yep.
But is the traffic worth it, crossing and coming back?
I don't know, if you don't have the Century Pass, I wouldn't drive down.
Oh, well, I don't have that. What? At Coronado Island, gas was fucking $6.50.
Okay, so I give you a little bit more then. No, it's just a dickish move because this is, let's just do this. Alright, this is your homework. So the first three find a general, and then the second last is just particular. And these are from your book, you know.
Is that 1t, sine t?
Yeah, 1 plus sine of t. And then
Oh, 1
read
plus.
the variation of parameter method. And then I think after that, we're done with this section. Yeah.
Professor, the extra credits that you assigned, can we still turn them in later?
Oh, sure. Yeah, after this, I'm gonna go to